Hey everyone, it's Lucas with another Big Brother Spoilers intro. Today's guest is Adam Poch from Big Brother 13, the self-proclaimed metalhead and die-hard superfan who made it all the way to finale night in one of the most dramatic seasons ever. It's been 14 years since Adam's time in the house, and he's here to reflect on his Big Brother journey, share what life has been like since, and give us unfiltered thoughts on the game today. In this conversation, Adam opens up about the highs and lows of BB13, from walking into a season with 6 returning legends, to the controversial Pandora's Box duo twists, to his relationships with players like Rachel, Jeff, and Portia. He looks back on key decisions that shaped his game, including the finale vote, his thought on production's role that season, and whether he regrets about how it all played out. We also get into the lighter side of things, like Tori Spelling's iconic visit, and some of the moments that still stand out to fans 14 years later. But that's not all. Adam also gives us his takes on the current season, Big Brother 27. He shares his favorite house guests, thoughts on Rachel's big return, the blockbuster twists, in which players remind him of himself or the castmates of Big Brother 13. He also gives us who he's rooting for, who he'd align with if he were in the house, and who he thinks has the best shot to win it all. Plus, Adam opens up about his life after reality TV, from his time writing for Big Brother Network, to what he's up to now, to whether or not he'd return to play the game or try out another competition show. This one is honest, fun, and full of Big Brother history. Let's get into it.
Hey, Adam, I'm so excited to talk to you. It's been 14 years since Big Brother 13. So how has life been for you since leaving the Big Brother house?
Wow, the last 14 years, geez, that's ages ago. Since then, I got married, had a child, bought a house, living my life, just the way I was before, still go to concerts like crazy, still go to food events like crazy. Just the only difference now is I get recognized out in public still. And it's funny, though, because Paramount is showing the old seasons. People that like our newer fans are starting to go back and watch the old seasons. So I've actually got recognized more over the last 2 years than I did for the 5 years before that. So it's still pretty cool though to I'm one of the fortunate ones. I was a big, huge super fan that got on the show. And when I say I'm a super fan, watch the feeds, read the blogs, know how the live feeds work. That's been, a joke for years that these people come to the house. Oh, I'm a super fan. I've been watching since the season before. I know what it was like, before I was on Big Brother. I knew what to expect, that the days were long and boring. It's still really surreal that I actually got to play the game. So when people come up to me and recognize me, then, that makes it real for me again.
So what about after the show? Was there anything difficult about getting back into normal life after the show?
No, actually, one of the easiest things after the show was going into my hotel room and getting naked because I spent 75 days unable to be naked and free. And I know that sounds strange and weird, but no, it was, it definitely an ego boost. And, but again, I was on the show when I was 40 years old. So I'd already experienced life. It's a little different than, some of these younger people that have played the game that still don't know what life is all about. And I've worked in the music business. I've been working in the, music business for the last 30 years now. So before I got on the show, I dealt with a lot of big egos, and I dealt with the, celebrities, just different that I was on the other side of the fence. But no, it really wasn't too difficult adjusting back to normal life. I have a lot of friends that are ball busters, so they kept me in check.
So we just saw each other a few months ago at Oz's premiere party. I think this was the second or third time we must have met, but you go to a lot of these New York parties. So how do you enjoy these parties?
Well, when I got off the show, I actually started doing viewing parties in New York. The first year was for Big Brother 14, and it was me, Enzo, Eric Stein. We had Michelle Maraday from season 4, Crazy James from season 9, Monica from season 2, and to watch that grow from just, like 50 fans in a bar to now like 200, 300 fans and, Big Brother alumni in the 20s, 25, 30 of us. It's really cool. It's really cool to see that the party's evolved and Ozzy took it over a couple years ago and she's been killing it. She does parties coast to coast, which again, what makes Big Brother so much different than any other reality show is the fan interaction. Yes, there's other shows that have a lot of fans, but the fans for Big Brother, they know us better because they watch us. They watch us 24/7. It's the only reality show that's taking place live as it's happening. So, the familiarity with the fans is a little creepy sometimes, not going to lie. But no, it's great to see that. And it's great that the community continues to grow and that these parties, and I see more and more parties going on now too around the country. I know Quinn just had one in Oklahoma City. Brendan's been doing viewing parties all season in Alabama for Rachel. So it's great to see that's happening. So thank you for coming out and, being part of it. And, again, without the fans, without the bloggers, and without the recappers, I mean, the show would not exist. Although recent events have definitely stalled some of that. But let's face it, Big Brother 28 is going to come around and everybody's going to forget about last year. Or this year.
Yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But you being a super fan of the show, who are some of the players that you were excited to meet that you've met at some of these watch party events?
Well, I'm gonna really nerd out here and just say all of them. I love watching the show. I love getting to know these people on a game level and then meeting them on a personal level. I gotta say, Jag was really cool when I met him last year. And then, at last year's party, Corey in America, that was really cool to meet them because I knew like how big of fans they were before they went into the house. I knew that they appreciated it. I don't know, as again, all of them, Tucker did a party last year after he got out of the house, and it was Tucker, Matt, and Sweet Kenny K. The three of them, so it was good to bro out with them a little bit. But yeah, I'm such a nerd by saying this. I just love meeting all the alumni.
So let's get into this season. So how have you been liking the season? Who are your favorite house guests? Tell me all your thoughts. Okay,
well, before the season started, I had picked Ashley,
as did I.
Ashley and Ava because they were New Yorkers. I'm East Coast, New Jersey, New York. I always root for the local people. Keanu, because I was a big D&D fan growing up. I was Dungeon Master. I wrote my own Dungeons and Dragon modules. Not since Ronnie from season 11 have we had such a big D&D fan on the show. And I thought Zach was going to do much better than he did. I just didn't realize that he was such a crybaby, because he came off as just big, the model type, the Brendan type, so to speak, just physical and good looking and charming. But he just turned into a puddle of mud. And then, I did find out about one of the big twists, that Rachel was coming back. And to be honest, I had mixed emotions on that. I mean, I know her. I'm friends with her. I'm friends with Brendan. I'm friends with the family. You always want to see your friends when they get on these shows to do well. But at the same time, she also stole $500,000 from my bank account. So that was a little crazy, but, not to go too deep into it, but I loved the way that she played this time. I loved, that she adapted a social game because that was severely missing both season 12 and when I played with her on season 13.
So what was your approach in season 13 to Rachel when she came in the game? Was she someone you were scared of or wanted to work with?
Wow. So I've told the story before, so if you're watching and you've heard it, bear with me. So when we came out for our rehearsal, I don't see anybody else, but they walk you out onto the stage and they show you, okay, you're going to come in from here. Julie's going to be there. Don't talk to her. Don't look at her. She's not there, but she's there. And there were 8 numbered steps, 8 numbered spots on the steps. And they told me which number I'd have to walk to. So the first they showed me where it was, and then I did the walk. And I'm like, there's only 8 people. I'm like, this is not the Big Brother I know. And again, this is before they expanded it to 16 players. In the past, it was always like, 11, 12, 13 people. So when I saw there was only 8 spots, I knew something was up. What I'd hoped was going on was that there was another group of 8 house guests that were in another house and like maybe share the backyard and, we compete against each other or something. So when we got into the house and there was just 8 of us, like we all knew that there's something was up. And when that doorbell rang and first in walked Brendan and Rachel, then Jeff and Jordan, then Dick and Danielle, it was very intimidating. I was rooting for Rachel on season 12. I always like rooting for the underdog. She had her back against the wall. She was a fighter. So I knew what I was up against. And I made the joke, if Will and Boogie walk in, I'm just picking up my bag and walking out. But the fact that there was 8 newbies and 6 veterans, we had the numbers. So I was like, okay, well, if we say newbie strong, we'll get through this. And so week 1, I told them I was going to work with them, but I didn't want to work with them. Week 2, I said, what can I do? Please save me. And even though that was to Jeff and Jordan, I was basically pledging my allegiance to the veterans. And it was funny because Rachel and I never really saw eye to eye on stuff. And I never really had game talks with her one-on-one. I was more talking to both Jeff and Jordan and Brendan. So when I was working with that side of the house, I wasn't exactly working with Rachel, but as you've seen from my actions on that show, I definitely supported and voted, the way that they wanted me to, so to speak. But at the same time, I also voted Rachel out in the double eviction against Jeff. And that, is famous because then, Kalia had to, be the one to send Jeff to the jury. And from there on, I was okay, well, you know what? I need to work with Jordan and Rachel if I'm going to get to the end. And I just threw caution to the wind. And, I came close to getting myself to those final 2 chairs. My goal at final 3 was to win that last HOH and vote out Rachel as being, my big move, which again, if you watch season 13, yes, I didn't make a big move the whole game because every big move failed. Go back and watch 13. You tell me a good move that was made that season. Every big move failed. So I didn't want to make the big move when I had the chance at the final 5 veto. But my big move was going to be at final 3 and get out Rachel. So again, that's why this season, watching her play, it definitely, when I hear her talking on the feeds or something, man, it gave me chills, gave me flashbacks.
So if you were in the house this season, do you think that you would align with Rachel? And who else do you think you might align with?
Well, obviously I would align myself with Vince because everybody has. It's funny because I think early on in the game, I would have probably been like Zay. I would have, been going against Rachel, although I would have been a little bit more quiet about it. Who would I work with? I mean, I don't know. They all seem so silly this year. I would have been so frustrated trying to work with anybody because it seems like, I don't know if it's just the new way to play Big Brother. I mean, you see it in Survivor all the time. It's like alliances only usually have a 1-week lifespan. So week to week, who's going to work best for you that week. So that's the way the game is played now. So I would work with everybody at one point. Just again, keep myself, in the house, keep myself there. I'm thinking that if I was on this season, I would have taken the Will spot because let's face it, we were both the older oddball, character type. So, would I have worked with Ashley? Maybe not as much as Will did, but I would have loved to work with Ava because she's just crazy, and I think that she would be somebody that I can would be able to talk into doing things that work for me.
And does anyone on the season remind you of somebody from your season? Obviously, Rachel reminds you of Rachel, but
no, Rachel doesn't remind me of Rachel this year. Rachel, it was a
she's
much
different
better
14
social
years
player.
later.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's funny because I did see there was a comparison of who from 13 would line up with who from 27, but no, I mean, I don't see that. I don't see, I mean, Lauren with Cassie, because they're both the young, attractive girl. I don't know. That's what makes Big Brother so great is even when you have these character types that they keep bringing back over and over, the blonde, the nerdy guy, they all have different personalities when it comes down to it. So even though they try to fit the role, because I was a finalist for season 12 and I used to think that, Enzo took my spot. But it was actually Andrew, Captain Kosher, that took my spot. And Andrew, yes, he was an older Jewish man. However, I love bacon, and he is kosher as the day is long. So, the similarities of the character type versus the people themselves are it's insane just how different people are. And then the other thing that take into consideration is that house does weird shit to people, man. You're playing against the house as much as you're playing against the other players. And as we've seen this season, especially, that house can turn people crazy. And the people obviously were crazy to begin with, but the fact of enclosed 24/7, nowhere to go, nowhere else to go. Yeah, it definitely takes a toll on people's, psychological composition.
So let's talk about some of those crazy people in their relationship. Let's start with Reilly and Catherine. What did you think of Reilly and Catherine?
Wow. So that was more like an Amber Caleb season 16, where it seemed like Reilly was just obsessed with Catherine. But the difference was Catherine was also kind of obsessed with Reilly. And, I know that there was a big, social media outcry, how horrible Reilly was because he was, the way he talked to her and the way he made her do things, or how if she didn't talk to him the right way at the right time, he would get pissed off. And, I'd like to just chalk that up to the house, making him crazy. I'd like to think that he, wasn't that type of person in real life. But they were Reilly especially. He was fun to watch, man, because again, you didn't know what was coming. He got into a fight with Mickey, and then he's best friends with Mickey. It was just so bizarre. But I was not saying I was rooting against them, but I wasn't really rooting for them either.
And then another crazy dynamic has been Morgan and Vince, especially the last few days. What do you think about Morgan and Vince?
Wow. I knew you were going to ask me that, and I had to catch up on the feeds, which, by the way, I love your Instagram because I can't watch feeds all the time. So I see, your recaps, and I read some of these things, and I have to actually pause or read them a second and third time. Are they really saying these things? This has got to be one of the most dysfunctional. I don't know what kind of mance you want to call it. Is it a showmance? Is it a flirt mance? Is it a friend mance? I don't know. But this is definitely bizarre because you have Vince, who is the ultimate, okay, so I'm going to just back up real quick. Vince is either the best player to ever play the game or the worst player to ever play the game. He has so many people wrapped around his finger. He's very reminiscent of Vanessa from season 19. No, not 19, 17. Vanessa Russo. but like, is he doing all this on purpose, or is he like, fumbling his way through it? And the fact that he's got this love triangle with Lauren and Morgan, where Lauren wants nothing to do with him in any other way other than like, help me get further in this game. Morgan is obsessed. Morgan is, and something I read was because Morgan was in love with Zach, and Zach didn't reciprocate, she moved on to Vince. And because Zach would have thrown his game away for Lauren, which she kind of threw it away for both of them, but she doesn't want to see Vince and Lauren together. She wants Vince to herself. And it's going to be a really rude wake-up call for her when she gets out of the house and sees how she was being portrayed, and how she really was, like, she really is like this obsessed with him. And I don't know, this week especially, but here's the thing, she won 3 straight vetoes. She's setting herself up very well for an end game, and she needs Vince, but I think she also needs Lauren there. So like, why she couldn't just like go with the flow and, have the 3 of them work together? I mean, the 3 of them like put their heads together, but that's this season. Like this season, it just makes no sense. Nobody can make an idea stick for more than 20 minutes. The last person in these people's ears will say what gets done. Lauren is the worst at making the decision, but the Morgan Vince thing, man, it's creepy, it's cringy, and it's damn good TV to watch, man. I mean, again, people are complaining, oh, Rachel's going to leave, the show's going to get boring. No, man, the show's still been just as messy and sloppy. And let's face it, that's much better than the predictable Big Brother that we've seen so much over the last 14 years.
Yeah, and despite all this craziness, Morgan is arguably a front runner to win the game. So who do you think is playing the best game right now?
And this is a not popular belief, but I think Keanu is. I think Keanu really is playing the best Big Brother 27 game. And that's the other thing. Like, there's no textbook say this is how you win Big Brother. Look at the 26 champions that we've had through the years. None of them played the game anything the same. The people that were able to roll with the twist and the, expect the unexpected, the people that can make it out on the other side. And Keanu's done that. Keanu's won when he's had to. Keanu has made big moves. He's been bold. He did try to take out Rachel a little bit earlier than he should have, but that still hasn't really caught up to him. Like, he still gets by winning these comps. And yeah, again, I read, a lot of the fan stuff where people are like, oh, well, this is no longer Big Brother, this is the challenge. And Ashley's like, oh, I would never have signed up if I knew that it was going to be this. Like, yes, you would have. Yes, stop. You would have. Because you didn't know going into it. Like, if you knew going into it, because who knows next year what the twists are going to be. So yeah, I think I got a little long-winded there, but I usually do.
Yeah, and a lot of this cast isn't big fans of the game like you are. So how do you think this has affected the gameplay? Because a lot of people don't know the show.
I think it's great. Again, I think, yes, super fans usually play it safe. Rarely do we see a super fan go in there and be like, okay, I need to make 12 different alliances. But that's the thing, like the people, the recruits, as they're known in our circles, they watch a season of Big Brother in like 4 days. They like get the DVDs, or not, like streaming now, whatever. I'm showing my age. When I was, before going into the house, like they would tell me to watch past seasons. But I was like, I've watched every season. So they watch the DVD, so they see, a 3-month game over the course of 4 days, and they think, okay, I got to make these big moves. Like, I got to do this. But like I said earlier, like there's some long, boring days. It's a marathon like nobody's business. Like, again, Survivor 27 days, even when it was at 39 days. Big Brother's 75, 80, 90, 95 days. Like, there is a lot of downtime, and the way to play the game is just so out there. The front runners right now, I don't even know who the front runner. I mean, I would, like I said, I think Keanu, if Keanu's in the final two chairs, man, he wins. Like, nobody's had as much of an uphill battle as he has. But same thing like Vince. I mean, Vince has been rolling with and that's like, is he doing it on purpose, or is he just falling ass backwards into it? But I mean, he's winning competitions. He's getting people to do what he wants them to do. He's keeping himself safe when he needed to be kept safe. It's just been that kind of weird season.
Yeah, and Keanu's been very benefited by the BB Blockbuster. What do you think of that twist now that that's in the game permanently now?
Well, it's permanently for now. I liked it pre-jury. I think when it gets down to this, because at this point, where you possibly have to nominate 4 people and there's 8 people left in the house and yourself, so that's 5 people. Like, it's too much. It's too much. Like, let's curb it. Let's go back. As soon as jury comes along, get rid of the Blockbuster. It's fun though, not knowing on Thursday night who's going to go home, that there's 3 different scenarios. But it's hysterical how last year Julie was pushing it to have like a double eviction type feel. Like, okay, you only have a few minutes to strategize. People go strategize. And now it's like, okay, everybody stay put. Here's the thing. The one thing that I wish over anything is that the house guests that are not playing in the Blockbuster could watch it. Like, let them watch that competition play out. They let them watch Kelly's, secret veto competition. They let them watch Caitlin's 6-piece person puzzle that she couldn't do. Let them watch that, because then that saves the walking down the stairs of like, the winner is, and they all have to look, and then they say the name, and everybody's like, and then they spend the whole time hugging. Like, no, like, let them win. Let everybody, okay, they know what's happening. So when they get in there, they know, okay, we have a few minutes to talk about it. Instead, it's like that fake, phony, like, reveal is just so horrible. But I like those challenges. I like the challenges that they have for the Blockbuster, and that, again, it makes it exciting. The other bad thing about it is it prevents us from watching the HOH live on Thursday night, and that was always, the fun thing was, instead of waiting, I'm an East Coast person, I got to now wait till the West Coast, show airs, and then they bring back the feeds, and by then, you find out, it's like, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning here in New York. And, my wife always asks me first thing when she wakes up on Friday morning, who won HOH? And I'm like, I either stayed up and waited, or, I'll roll over, get my phone and check. But I loved seeing the HOH played out live on Thursday nights.
Has there been any big surprises for you watching the season? For me, a big surprise has been that nobody targeted Rachel in the game, and she got evicted from the game without ever being nominated.
That, it was all of her allies kept getting eliminated. Amy, we lost early because she was aligned. I was like, okay, well, we're not going to take out Rachel. We're going to take out, whoever she's working with. So then they took out Jimmy afterwards. And if you were working with Rachel, you were being targeted. But that she never even hit the block, man. Lauren's doing a great job of that too. Lauren has not hit the block yet. And we'll see what happens this week, if she finds herself on the block. But those are 2 of my biggest surprises, that neither one of those 2 have made it to the block. And the other thing, I don't really understand where Ava fits into the whole equation in that house, because she has done things to help other people that have not reciprocated back to her. And then the people that have done nice things to, for her, Keanu, she, lashes out about it. Like, so why, the fact that Ava picked Vince first in the Wheel of Death, and then as soon as Vince is HOH, he nominates her again. It's like, bro, like she kept you safe. So like, and I guess that doesn't really surprise me much anymore, but it still does surprise me that Big Brother is now a week-to-week game, not an alliance game.
And Ava's been campaigning big time for America's favorite player. Who do you think could be America's favorite player? And who would have your vote?
My vote would go to Keanu. No offense, Rachel. I know Rachel has the built-in fan base, and she will most likely end up winning. But I'm going to catch hell for this. But Kelly, I like Kelly's game. I like Kelly because she's a wackadoodle. Like she's just silly. She's just and yes, she was very inspired by Tucker last year, and wanted to be the female Tucker. And you know what? She has done a pretty good job. She held her own. And I think only was it once that she survived a vote on Thursday night.
Against Jimmy,
so the fact that everybody like has been against her, but America doesn't seem to like that. America definitely didn't like the Reilly Catherine showman. So usually there's showmans that you either love or you hate, but not everybody could be Jeff and Jordan, America's sweethearts. It's Rachel's award to win. But the top three, I will say, are going to be her, Keanu. Man, I don't even know who would be third. There's just
Will.
So many. Yeah, maybe. I mean, come on. Like, I'm sorry. Will was he was funny, but he was boring, man. Like, he wasn't. I think that they definitely made him look a lot better on the CBS show, than what the live feeders are seeing. Like, he just sits there, he nods, he goes along with it. Like, tell me one plan that he came up with. Like, he didn't come up with anything, and he didn't win anything. So it's like, for him to be a popular player, that's just 27 for you. So, I could see, because of his edit, him getting top three of America's favorite, but it's Rachel's to win.
Yeah, and you mentioned Rachel having that built-in fan base. That's what I would have thought would have happened on season 25 when Suri. I voted for Suri to win America's favorite. I thought she would have won, and Cameron won. So,
well, because they portrayed him as as a hero, and I like Cameron as a person, man. Like, I thought his game was pretty good, but I've had some interactions with him, and he's just a genuinely nice guy. I know that the fan base is kind of like, polarizing with him. Some people love him, some people hate him. But the fact that he was not afraid to play the game hard and fast and do what needed to be done, like, I think that's what appealed to America. Whereas, like, America saw Sari, and beginning of the season, everybody loved her, but she just sat around in her, robe her and Felicia just sat around all summer, just, complaining about everybody. And I think that by doing so, like, there wasn't anything that jumped out to, keep the fans happy with her.
Yeah, and something else new this season was the BB Unlocked, the Friday episodes. Have you been watching those, and what do you think of them if you've been watching?
Well, you might be a little too young to remember this, but the live feeds used to be on Superpass, which was a division of Real Networks, which was, years ago. Like, if you wanted to listen to any basketball game around the country, you'd probably listen to a real player. And they did these, like, shows that they would put onto the live feeds, like, when feeds were down, or they would have these shows. And Matt Hoffman from season 12 and we hosted a show, and it was called Rants and Roars, where Matt would rant and I would roar. And that's where I came up with the, bacon rankings, where, I would give players up to 5 strips of bacon if they were good, up to 5 strips of tofu if they were bad. And the worst player of the week would be the tofurkey of the week. So watching the Unlocked, it really took me back to those Superpass days. Again, if there's any old school fans watching this, you know what I'm talking about. So it's kind of hokey. It's kind of cheesy. The whole Andrew the intern bits are a little silly, but it's good to have another episode. It's good to have the hometown visits, which we've missed on the regular season for years. We sometimes get one or two of them, but that used to be a staple of the the Thursday night show was always having the hometown visit. So the fact that they're bringing that back into it makes it a little bit more bearable. But I'll say, man, it's kind of cringe. It's kind of like just, I get what they're trying to do. And again, 4 episodes of Big Brother a week is not enough. Like, it should be 7 episodes of Big Brother a week. But, it definitely serves a purpose. I hope it stays. I just don't understand why it's only every other week. Is it the budget that they can't afford to fly Derek out twice, every week? They have to fly him out twice a month. But it's, it is what it is. It's there. It's some of the sillier stuff that they don't want to put on the regular show, they can fit on there. But, just as long as Big Brother's on TV, man, that's all I care about.
And is there anything else about this season that you want to say before we get into you and your season a little bit?
Oof. Nah, man. I mean, like I've said, this season is just so messy, and that's what I love about it. I mean, if you look back in the history books, like, again, maybe we might differ on a few of these, but let's face it, season 6, season 10, those are classic seasons. Those are just 2 of the best seasons of all time. Season 16, you saw The Perfect Game by Derek. That was just, that was boring to watch. But if you look at just classic, just perfect games, that was it. Season 20 was another fascinating season. I mean, that season was such a mess because you had this majority alliance that couldn't win anything, Faute. But that messiness kept it exciting. The Brett Rockstar fight, I mean, come on, that's epic. So when you look back on season 27, I mean, people are going to remember the season as how unfair it was that Rachel was sent home in the middle of the game on a twist. But this has been a great season just because whereas season 6 and 10 had some great, and 16 had great gameplay. This is a great season because it's had horrible gameplay.
So what about season 13? How did you end up in Big Brother in the first place? What's your casting story?
Okay, so let's put the rewind thing on to season 8 of Big Brother. So there was a contestant on there named Evil Dick, and I'd been a fan of Big Brother for years. Season 6 is when I made the transition from fan to super fan because, as I said, that was such a great season. I could not wait for the episodes. I had to go on. I watch live feeds here and there. Season 1 was on AOL, but season 6 was the season that I'm all in. And I was a big fan of Survivor. Also, I was a big fan of The Real World, and very rarely would I see an older heavy metal guy on the show. Well, then season 8 comes along and Evil Dick's on there, and he's wearing the Suicidal Tendencies t-shirt and, rock and roll lifestyle. And I'm not saying I'm like him, but similar in that way, similar in our musical beliefs. I'm like, you know what? If they would have an older rock and roll guy on, maybe I'll try out. So after season 8 was the writer's strike. So then season 9 came along really quick. So I didn't get into the casting, but for season 10, I tried out, and I got to the open call, and I waited online for about 3 hours, and I get into the room, and I talked about my job. I talked about where I lived. I talked about everything except for Adam. I talked about things around Adam, and didn't get a call back, didn't get anything. And I knew the second I walked out, I'm like, I blew that. But I think I needed that. I needed that to help get me prepared. So when I went back, I didn't go back for 11, because I had a lot of personal things going on that it wasn't the right time. So season 12, I was like, I am getting on the show. And I went to another open casting, and it was the same guy behind the camera. And I said, my name is Adam. My 3 passions in life are heavy metal, bacon, and Beverly Hills 90210. I eat a bacon, egg, and cheese every morning for breakfast. I'm willing to eat slop for the whole summer. I have, I go to concerts all summer long. I'm willing to miss every single concert this summer to play Big Brother. And every Saturday and Sunday morning, I wake up and I put on SoapNet and watch Beverly Hills 90210. No TV, that's fine. I need to be in the Big Brother house. And then I said, a friend of mine gave me the nickname, the heavy metal teddy bear, because I love Appletinis, I love bourbon, I love 90210, and I love Sons of Anarchy. So, like, you have the two sides of me. You have, like, the rock and roller, and then you have, like, the man not afraid to embrace his feminine side. So the heavy metal teddy bear. And as soon as I said that, like, I saw a couple people in the room kind of like perk up a little bit. Well, the guy behind the camera was telling me, like, wrap it up. And I'm like, no. I'm like, last time you made me wrap it up and I wasn't done, I'll tell you when I'm done. And I own that room. And I'll say it till the day I die. Like, I walked out of that interview and I knew, they got to cast me. They gave me a call back. I had to come back for a second audition. The week that they wanted me to come second audition, I already had plans to go to San Francisco. And I'm like, well, can I meet with somebody later? Or I'm like, no, if you want to be on it, you have to make it. So I went from New York to San Francisco, spent 2 days there with my friends, took a red eye home, stayed at a hotel by the airport, went to the city, did my interview, went back to the hotel by the airport, flew back to San Francisco, and finished my vacation. Because, like, I talked to a lot of people about, I was going out there for a concert, and if I didn't post pictures of me in San Francisco eating bacon and eating food and going to shows, like, people would have known something was up. So all on my own expense. It was pretty expensive to fly back and forth like that. But I came, I did my interview. I flew out to LA. They flew me to LA for the finals on season 12. And I got all the way to the end. They sent me home. And then they called me about 2 weeks later and said, thanks, but no thanks. But stay in touch. Well, that was the motivation I needed, because at that time I was 340 pounds. And I started going to the gym and working out and losing weight. And when I came back for season 13, I called my casting person when I heard that the open calls were starting. I'm like, do I need to go to open call? He's like, oh, I'll mean to call you. I'm like, what is your first interview when you're in New York for semifinals? Because I want to be that first interview. I want every single person that you interview after me to compare to me. And when I showed up and he saw me and saw just like the beaming of, positivity, in the meantime, I got a girlfriend. Getting healthy, I was getting in shape. I was ready to go. They knew I was serious. Well, what I came to find out later was they knew season 13, they were bringing people back, and they knew who they were bringing back. So in the office there, they have a poster board with everybody's picture on it, and they keep like moving them in and out of the circle. Well, from what I heard, I was in the circle from day one. They never pulled me out. They never put together a cast that didn't have me in it, because they knew they were bringing back Evil Dick. They knew they were bringing back Rachel, two people I was rooting for. I even told my casting person, because at the time when I got going through the season 12 casting, they asked me like what my ideal girl was. And I said, a busty redhead who could play bass guitar. Well, Rachel doesn't play bass guitar as far as I know, but she was a busty redhead. And I told my casting person, well, when the cast was announced, I'm like, I would have been her bitch. We would have been, the redhead and the biker bitch, and I would have been her biker bitch. So the fact that I was rooting for her, and they knew, of course, when they bring back people, they always try to bring back fans of those people to try to help them get further in the game. So yes, I was on that board, from day zero, and got to live a dream, man. I got to live the dream.
So you only applied 3 times?
Only 3 times, yes. Nothing semifinal, nothing finals, got on the show.
So what has your fandom been like since the show? Has it, do you feel any differently about the show? Did you become a bigger fan of the show after doing it?
Well, your name is spoilers. So let's say after having a peek behind the curtain of how the game is played and how the game is not fair, and I'm not going to say the game is outright rigged, but there is definitely producer manipulation, which I'm sure other people, if players don't talk about that, then the only reason why they don't talk about that is because they want to get brought back to play again. I know I'm not getting a call back ever again. I know that the game is not set up to be fair game. If it was at the beginning of the season, they would say these are all the competitions in order that we're playing them. This year, perfect example was Rachel might have been in trouble and they got rid of the wall comp and they pushed the wall comp back a week, and they had the wall comp and that was supposed to happen. Ironically enough, Rachel, an epic player, has never played in a wall comp. She, season 12, the 2 wall comps were won by Matt Hoffman that Rachel was outgoing HOH on. Season 13, same thing. She was the outgoing HOH when Danny won it. So this year she was outgoing HOH. But I'm still a fan, man. Like it boils down to just the reason why I love the show in the first place is the social experiment of getting people in a room saying, go screw each other over for a lot of money. And, what are the rules? I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. So I'll never stop watching. As long as Big Brother's on the air, I will never stop watching it. And anybody that says that they're going to stop watching it, you know what? They don't stop watching it. And again, I'm the moderator of half a dozen Facebook groups. I wrote blogs. I did podcasts. I hosted a podcast. I guest on podcasts. I love talking about Big Brother. So I'll never stop being a fan of the show. Even knowing what I know, that it's not a fair game and it's not, always the best player doesn't always win. But as long as it's exciting, I don't care. Like, again, unless somebody's playing that game and going to give me money if they win, I care more about, winning my pools. So this year, again, I have Keanu as my winner pick in a pool. I've picked a couple winners before and I've won a couple dollars here and there from, pools, but I'm watching it not for that. Whoever wins, whatever. Whoever gets to the end and gets those votes, kudos to them. It doesn't affect my life one way or the other. Just entertain me, please. And, even bad seasons are better than no seasons.
So looking back on your season, you came up just short. Is there anything that you wish you would have done differently? Any regrets?
No regrets, man. I mean, if I've had to go to sleep every night for 14 years knowing I had a chance to win $500,000 and I didn't. The one thing, though, is I lost because I lost. Like, I had got myself to the final 3, and the goal is to get to those final 2 chairs. I got as close as you can get to those final 2 chairs without getting in those chairs. And the only way I was getting into those 2 chairs, one of those 2 chairs, was if I won my way there. And I didn't. Nobody screwed me over. Nobody flipped a vote. Nobody, the what ifs, everybody will point out to me not using the veto at the final 5. When it was Kalia and Portia on the block. If I would have used the veto, Rachel would have been forced to put Jordan on the block. If I do that, I lose Jordan's vote. I lose Jeff's vote. I already didn't have a couple Danny's vote. So at that part of the game, you start counting votes. And I needed to do everything I could to keep 4 people on that jury my friends. So I feel like if I would have gotten to those final 2 chairs by winning and voting out Rachel, and it would have been me versus Portia in the final 2, I would have won. I would have had Jeff and Jordan's vote. I would have had Shelly's vote. And I would have called out Brendan, because Brendan's last words as he walked out that door, and you can go back and watch it on Paramount Plus, plug. I'm going to vote for the person that gets themselves here, not the person that carried themselves here. So I would have said to him, at Final 6, I made a deal with Rachel and Jordan. They kept me safe. At Final 5, I won veto. At Final 4, I won HOH. Final 3, I won HOH. I got myself in those final 2 chairs. I was a man of my word. Now I want you to be a man of your word and vote for the person that got themselves here. And knowing Brendan as well as I do or did, like, if I would have called him out for that, he would have put aside the fact that I voted Rachel out, and he would have voted me to win. So any regrets? Yeah, the only regret I have was that I didn't win an underwater competition, but that's because I didn't win it. And I can't say I didn't have a fair chance. You know, with all the twists and turns of the do-over, bringing back 6, great classic all-time players at the time, and I still got myself to Final 3. You know what? I did a lot of ass kissing. I did a lot of middle playing. I did a lot of fence sitting. I got myself there. I just didn't win. So, oh well, I tried. But the good news is, over the last 14 years, I've probably gotten $500,000 worth of free bacon. So at the end of the day, yes, I didn't win Big Brother, but I'm on your podcast, bro. I'm on your podcast. I'm talking to you. Like, I was on Big Brother. I met Tori Spelling. I met my favorite actress of all time on Big Brother. And I met her on September 2nd, 2011, which is 90211. It's almost 90210, but 90211. So, and if you look at Wikipedia, that episode had 6.66 million people watching. 666, Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden, my favorite band. So I met Tori Spelling. 6.66 million people watch me. I got free bacon. I get recognized. I go to parties that I would have to pay for it if I was a fan. I get to go for free. You know what? I'm fine.
So why did you ultimately vote for Portia to win over Rachel, though?
So I saw Shelly's key. When Shelly was voting, I saw her shaking, and I saw that she was voting for Rachel. And I was sitting there the whole time, even leading up to my eviction. Who am I going to vote for? Rachel definitely deserved. She worked her ass off. She won the competition that she needed to win. Portia I was closer to her friend-wise. We were the newbies. We got along great. She reminded me of a couple of my best friends from back home, who I'm still best friends with today. Just the quirky blonde girl that says and does silly things, which I don't think she ever really got the credit that she did on the show of just how funny of a person she is. And going into the last week, like, there were a couple of things that Rachel had said and done in that last week that kind of upset me. And the fact that, I worked my ass off for 2 years to get on that show, or, technically 3 from 3 times trying out. But all she did that year was answer a telephone, and that's how she got on. And when she tried to compare, like, all the stuff that she had to sacrifice to get on the show this time, the third, her second time playing, when I left a job that I wasn't sure if I was coming home to. I left a girlfriend who I was hoping I wouldn't embarrass and that was going to be waiting for me. I was paying my rent at an apartment that I wasn't even living in. I gave my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, I gave her $5,000 to take care of my affairs while I was in the house, like pay off my bills, pay my medical coverage, like all these things. Whereas she put all of her stuff into storage and came in with her boyfriend, fiance. So the fact that she was telling me, like, how much she sacrificed, that she couldn't get a job because she didn't know what the future was going to be. Like, I had a career, man. Like, I wasn't just, I was 39 years old when I entered that house, turned 40 in the house. It's the fact that, she tried to compare, like, all the stuff that she sacrificed to me, that left me a little better. So while I wanted to vote for her to win, because I felt like, she won the final 3 HOH, and that, as I said earlier, the goal is to get yourself into those final 2 chairs, and she got herself into those final 2 chairs. So seeing Shelly's vote and knowing that my vote did not matter to the outcome of the game, I voted for the person I wanted to win, not for the person that deserved to win. And Rachel got the win, and well earned. So, to me, it was more important to vote for the person I wanted, because my vote, in essence, didn't really matter.
And so, how do you rank Rachel compared to other winners?
That's a very good question. Again, there's no way to play Big Brother. Obviously, yes, as I said it before, Derek, I think, played the best game of all players ever. I think, better than Dan. Dan on season 10, he played a very good game. Remember, people forget that after the first 3 weeks, all of his allies were gone. He was on his own from there and just found a way every single week to start making inroads and if you remember those first couple of weeks, man, he was quiet. And same thing, he did the same thing on 14. 14, he was really quiet. He was letting other people talk until he started figuring out, and he was a great listener, and then figured out, how do I take this information that people are giving me and use it against them? So obviously, those two, I feel played the best games. So where does Rachel stand in that pantheon of greatest? I mean, she played a great game. She, I would say she's in the upper tier of winners. Before that, I do have to give a shout out. I think the best move by a winner of all time is still Andy on 15 during the double eviction, to set up Alyssa for getting out Amanda, and then McCrae wins HOH and gets rid of Alyssa. And I think that put him in the best spot to win his season. All the ratty leading up to that. That's how he was involved in every conversation. So if they're not talking to you, they're talking about you. Xavier, I think, played also an awesome game. He let Tiffany be the mouth, but he saw, okay, she's going to be vulnerable at some point, and was able to use her against herself. Xavier, again, I think he's one of the great winners. But somebody like Casey, who won her way to the end, but the reason why she won was more anti-Tyler than for her being a good player. Paul's 2 losses were more votes against him. Josh, he had such a character arc, from week 1 where, he had to take that money to survive, in the beginning of the game, or take I forget how did that twist work out with the apple or whatever. But, he was going out the door week 1, and he ended up, overcoming it. And then to his credit too, outside of the house since then, I mean, look at that kid. Go back and watch the first episode of season 19, and now look at what Josh Martinez is doing today. I mean, it's a complete 180. So God bless him. But again, did he play better than Rachel? Maybe not. Probably not. And of course, everybody lately has been pissing on Jag's win because Jag got voted out. But what they don't remember about that was there was all the talk about what the twist was going to be and that he was going to come right back. So it wasn't it wasn't a regular voting week. They're like, okay, you know what? Let's just see what happens. We'll vote him out, but he's probably coming back anyway. So people are like, oh, well, he got voted out, so he shouldn't have won. No, I mean, if they didn't know that twist was going to happen, they might have voted differently. Just like if we knew exactly what the twist was on 13, we would have probably voted Rachel out. If we didn't know what the twist, if we knew exactly what the twist was going to be, we would have definitely voted her out. But the fact is that Big Brother keeps us guessing as fans, keeps us guessing as players. So yeah, again, where is she? Out of 26 winners, she's from 1 to 13. Or sorry, 3 to 13.
And another winner of the game, Evil Dick. A big what if to me is how Evil Dick would have done on your season. How do you think that he would have done?
Well, if he would have stayed, that game would have been completely different because I feel like it was only a matter of time before Rachel would have pissed him off. And that would have been the house divided. It would have been Dick versus Rachel. And Danielle would probably be on Rachel's side, which is bizarre to say. Which I got to say real quick, though, like, again, if you're a diehard season 13 fan, one of the most awkward moments in my entire life was the nomination ceremony when Rachel was following Danielle around and like sitting next to her. Like, that was just so uncomfortable to be around. But if Dick would have stayed on 13, I don't think he would have won, but he would have definitely made that season way more chaotic.
And I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about possible rigging before. Season 13 is a season that people point to that was definitely rigged, with the Pandora's box, the final 6. You were there. What did you think of all that?
Before I talk, I can't say anything bad about Pandora's box because Pandora's box did give me Tori Spelling. However, do-over, the way I see it, though, and the way that I've been able to justify my life to be able to sleep at night is it took one of us to step up and beat her. And nobody stepped up and beat her. So, yes, the twist was a little bit unfair. The timing of it was very suspect. But one thing that we do have in that house is free will. Another thing that we have in the house is the ability to compete. And nobody was able to beat Rachel when they needed to beat Rachel, and she was able to win. It's like, I'm a huge football fan. You go out and play the last place team, you still got to play and beat them. But every now and then the last place team will come back and beat, a good team. So somebody needs to step up and beat her. None of us did. She won the game.
And another returning player in the season was Jeff. And Jeff he won America's Favorite, but he was a very controversial figure. Some of the comments he said. What are your thoughts on Jeff? Are you still friends with Jeff today?
Yeah, I still talk to Jeff and Jordan. In fact, I had to fill in for Big Jeff on his podcast a couple weeks ago. He was going through some personal stuff and needed to take a week off of his podcast with Jordan. So they called me to, be the co-host for the week. And I understand. Jeff is a guy's guy, and he's very unapologetic in his convictions. He says what he feels, and to me, like, even if I don't agree with everything people have to say, it's like just being true and genuine is more important, because like that shows, I'd rather talk to somebody who, when I'm talking to the conversation, like, I don't have to say, well, what did he really mean by that? What did he really mean by that? So that's why I loved working with him, because I would get the skinny. I would find out what was going on. When him and I were sitting around playing pool late at night, it was funny because, like, the more I would talk game with him, he would start messing up in pool, and I would start beating him at pool because he would get so animated. And again, that's the reason why I wanted to work with him and Jordan rather than Rachel and Brendan, or Danny, because those are all very smart, strategic, skilled players, where Jeff's an emotional player. And as you saw, like, Jeff's emotions got to him in that clown pit and threw out the clown shoe because he was so over anxious. But again, I appreciate people like that in my life. So those are two people that I've stayed in touch with, all 14 years. In fact, I have a pretty good relationship with most of the people from 13. I gotta say, my number one from season 13 is still Lawan. Lawan and I, again, we had very parallel lives before, like career-wise, before we met. Like, he worked at the Sony building that I worked at before me, and he's always been in entertainment and always, like, loves the spotlight. So him and I, we've stayed in touch. I still talk to Keith on the regular, because Keith loves to have opinions about Big Brother that he can't share with other people. And, Dick does his podcast, Dick at Night. So on Thursday nights, he has Keith and Portia on there. So there's been a few times where I've been on there as well. So the four of us, 4 out of 14 of the original Big Brother 13 house guests get together. Jeff's, definitely, an interesting person. And again, Brendan and Rachel, I still, I talked to Brendan, got so many texts, from him throughout this whole season. Just, again, the one great thing about the alumni is it's not always people from your season that you get along with. But there's definitely a lot of group chats out there with people from different seasons. And we could talk about things that we don't really want to talk about publicly. And not saying it's all bad stuff, but like there's some questionable things that go on in the Big Brother community. And you all see it. You all have Twitter and X and TikTok and whatnot. And it's fun to be able to say some things, to people that understand what we're going through.
So what was your favorite part of the whole Big Brother experience? And don't say meeting Tori Spelling.
No, the best part of the whole thing, now is like where I go to the Big Brother events and people come up to me and tell me, like they watch me, or I don't know if you're a Survivor fan at all, but Jake, that was on Survivor a couple years ago. I met him at a party, a Survivor party, and he came up to me and he said, I was the first person that he ever rooted for on a reality show. When I was on season 13, that was the first season of Big Brother he watched, and I was his favorite. And he, like, again, that was so flattering because it's like years and years and years later. Similarly, another, shocking moment in my life was season 14. You had Cara Monaco, if you remember her.
Yep.
She was the Playboy Playmate of the Year, and she's a rocker chick. She loves heavy metal. So she was rooting for me on season 13, and she was living in England, and she was downloading episodes, paying for them to watch and root for me. And like you told Adam at 18 that there's going to be a Playboy Playmate of the Year downloading episodes and watching you on TV. Bro, that never would have happened. Like I would never expect. So yeah, so the best part about being on Big Brother is just staying part of this fucked up community that we are.
And you eventually wrote for Big Brother Network, right? And you don't do that anymore, right?
Yeah. Nah, it's very time consuming, 16 house guests at the beginning of the season to try to rank everybody. And, the problem too is because of the way that the game has evolved, it used to be Monday after the veto meeting, you'd have the final 2 nominees and you'd have some back and forth. But so I could write that article over the course of like 2 days. Whereas now I had to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday mornings, and like live feeds would still be going on. And I'd be watching them in the background while I'm writing my piece. And all of a sudden I had to change it because all of a sudden the conversation would happen that would change everything. It's like, so to try to stay current with that was just really difficult. My job, my family, they come first. Real life before reality life. So while it sucked to have to stop doing it, it just took up too much of my time. I mean, come on, how much time does Big Brother take up of your life?
Too much.
Too much. But I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate all of the bloggers and the websites, because that's what makes the Big Brother community so much different than everything else.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the newbie cast from your season that we haven't seen any of them come back. Why do you think that is? And who do you want to see come back to do another show?
It's funny how the season 13 newbies have been passed over. It was very difficult for any of us to really make our mark on the season. I mean, if you just look strategic wise, Shelly had a great game until, again, tell me a move that worked on season 13. She flipped on Jeff and Jordan. So people remember that, and they're not going to really want to bring her back. Kalia Kalia won 2 HOHs. Kalia, was a very strong player. However, she was also a very bad player because she, while she did make a great move in taking out Jeff during the double eviction. Everybody points to the fact that Danny was pretty much her, like, telling her what to do the whole time. And if she would have admitted that, if she was like, hey, I'm doing what Danny told me because it puts the heat on her and not on me, then she would have been more beloved. But for her to say, oh, no, she's not, she's not telling me what to do. She was telling her everything what to do. My window of opportunity was very small to ever be called back. As I said, we always have the different characters types from my season. So if you look at season 11 was Casey, season 12 was Andrew or Enzo, season 13 me, season 14 was Chef Joe, season 15 was Spencer, season 16 was Donnie. Okay, just looking at those people alone, I would need Donnie to say no. I would need Enzo to say no. Maybe I would have had a chance to be brought back. But the fact that they didn't do All-Stars for another 10 years after my season, I was out of everybody's mind. Dominic, I'm surprised, never got asked. And maybe he did, and maybe Danielle told him no because she wanted the spotlight to herself. But I'm really surprised, especially with this season of Amazing Race that's coming up, where it's all ex-house guests and their loved ones. There's a couple of those on the list there that I'm surprised by, and a couple I'm surprised that didn't. Like Danny and Dominic, I thought that would be a great duo for Amazing Race. So I'm very surprised that they were not asked to do that. But it's just unfortunate that none of us really had a chance to stand out because we had Jeff, we had Rachel, we had Brendan, we had Danny. We had these classic, epic, all-time players playing.
I did an interview a few months ago with somebody who's a friend of yours, and they were telling me some interesting things about you. They told me that you rewatch your season every season before BB27.
I used to, before the new season started. I used to go back and watch Big Brother 13 before the new season started. Yes. I stopped doing that probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and I would go back and watch different seasons. I mean, come on. I'm just as egotistical as any other Big Brother player ever. Watching my season, it's always fun. It was fun watching, picking up things when I watch it too now, or I show clips to my daughter and whatnot. But when I do watch episodes with friends who have never seen it before, I look at things. I try to look for things in the background to try to anything I might have missed or anything like that. But I haven't watched Big Brother 13 from episode 1 to episode, what do we have, 32, 23, I don't know how many. I haven't watched my season straight through in a long time, and I'm going to reach out to that person that said that because I know exactly who it is, because they've said that about me on multiple podcasts. So I'm not gonna publicly denounce them, but I will text as soon as I get off here.
Well, something else they did tell me about you was that I don't remember the exact thing they said, but they said that you use the Comic Sans font on your phone or something like that.
Okay, so the font is called Choco Cookie. Okay, it's similar to Comic Sans. As I said, I'm a weird person, man. Like regular block letters and text, that's boring. I like to have a fancy, funny looking font. So when I take screenshots and send it to people, they're like, dude, what's up with your font? So I have, there's a couple Big Brother text groups that I'm in, and a couple of my real friend, not reality, real friends, that's what I call them differently. That when I send screenshots of my threads, they always love to bust my chops. But again, that's what I'm the heavy metal guy that loves Beverly Hills 90210. Come on, you expect me to have a regular font?
I was going to ask if you knew who it was. It seems like you knew who it was.
Oh, I know exactly who it was. Weasel.
All right, just a few more questions I wanted to ask. Did
Sure.
you learn anything about yourself going through reality TV? Did you impact your view of yourself, or?
You know what? It showed me the Big Brother game. You experience the 7 deadly sins on a daily basis, and what you're willing to do, and what you're willing to say, and what you're willing to be, to try to for greed. It's bad. It's ugly. And like there was. I definitely learned about myself, like just how to deal with some emotions. And what's funny is when I got out of the house, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, Farah, she was like, "You're so quiet sometimes in there. Like, that's not," and I'm like, yeah, I was trying to win $500,000. Like, I knew, like, you say the wrong thing, you can go home. So just like, so learning about myself, like learning how to behave around different types of individuals. That was, definitely one of the biggest things. I've also learned, trust is something that people need to earn. You don't just get, again, like, that sounds like a life lesson that everybody knows, but like when you really break it down in the situations that we were in, and not just with the other players, but like, friendships and relationships that I had before I went into the house and after the house, like, people like that didn't understand the game or didn't understand me or whatever. Like it worked in the advantage, and some people like that I thought were supportive of me, I realized that they really weren't. So I was able to, cut ties to some people that, I found out like what they were saying and doing while I was away. It definitely helped me learn about other people, but basically, but mostly just like, learn, what I'm willing to do and what I'm willing to say and what I'm willing to be and the person that I want to be. And I've tried really hard to be the person I want to be in life since then. And it's tough. I mean, we all face these challenges, but, going through that situation was always, was definitely always going to be part of me. Now to get really weird and philosophical and not philosophical, but statistical, I really wish you hear all the time that there's like personality tests that we have to take while we're going through casting. Just so I get an understanding of the person. I wish that they would take those tests at the beginning, that we take at the beginning, and then have to take them right after we get out of the house, and then also take it 5 years later, and just see, how your personality and how your view on things, because it's one of those tests where they ask you the same questions 5 different ways to see, like, how you're going to answer. So I'd like to see if people's perceptions of themselves and their behaviors change from the beginning of the game to the end of the game to 5 years later, to see like what kind of effect it has on it. I think that's a great study out there for any nerd that is going for a doctorate on something, the personality tests, that are administered to the players, getting a hold of that and trying to make some sense out of it. Because I'm sure there are some patterns out there that are, undeniable.
So going off of that, what advice do you have for future house guests that they're going to be listening to this interview and then playing the game? What advice do you have?
Have thick skin. Just be true to yourself. Be true to the people that you need to be true to outside of the house. Because if you get into that house, you are going to be dissected. You are going to be poked and prodded, not literally, but figuratively. Any dirty little secret that you have, try to hide it as much as you can before you get into the house, because, the best detectives in the world are Big Brother super fans. That as soon as the cast is announced, within 20 minutes, they have their arrest records posted online and their mug shots and, every bad thing that they ever did to any ex-girlfriend or boyfriend ever. So just have thick skin, man. Just go into the game, play the game that you want to play. And, but it's not as easy as it looks. And again, practice sitting alone for 6 hours without a phone, without a TV, or without anything. And if you don't go crazy in those 6 hours, you might be okay on Big Brother. Because there's just times in that house where there's nothing happening. And if you can't be strong enough to get through that, you're not going to be able to get through that game.
And do you have any upcoming projects or events that you'd be excited to share with your fans?
We just finished, the end of the summer. So I judge a lot of food events. I've become the head judge of a trio of barbecue events in New York City, Brisket King, Rib King, and Pig Island. We just did Pig Island last weekend. So that comes to a close. So my food judging is on a little bit of a hiatus for the winter. But if you're in New York and, you see that there's a Big Brother or Survivor viewing party, chances are I'll be there. So, and as you can see, I love talking about the game. So don't be afraid to come up to me and talk to me and, ask me my opinions, because I love to talk, and I love to talk Big Brother.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to catch up and get your insights on the game. And I'm sure I'll see you in New York again next year.
And again, I said it multiple times. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. You help me keep up with the game so much. I shout out to Hamster Watch when I was on the show all the time. My morning routine, I go to hamsterwatch.com. I get the basic things of what happened. I go to Big Brother Network. I get a little bit more detail, but then I follow you, and I'll tell you, this is me reading your Instagram. Like, I'm sitting there, I hold it down so I can read everything. Yeah. If it goes, I go back. So thank you for all the screenshots, all the screen grabs, all the, so like again, that it makes it so much easier to keep my super fan status, because while I don't have the time to watch the feeds, I feel like I do because of people like you. So thank you so much.
So can we make a deal, Adam, that if you go back on Big Brother, you'll shout me out?
Big Brother spoilers. There you go.
Yeah. All right, Adam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Oh, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Instagram, Bacon Guru, BB13, Twitter or X, Heavy Metal Teddy, Facebook, King Ad Poch. Yeah, I know. I'm stupid. I should have had one thing across all of them. TikTok, I just joined, but I don't post anything on TikTok. I just, when people send me TikToks, I was sick and tired of not being able to watch them or watch them repetitively. So I joined TikTok, but I'll never post on there. I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm 54 years old. I don't know how to use TikTok.
That's okay. All right.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll talk soon.